Hello, everyone. This is a pre-recorded conversation because, like you, I am maybe up to my elbows in stuffing or something. But this is the kind of weekend where after you've done all the eating and you've washed all the dishes and you've, watched as much football, I guess, if that's your thing, as you care to watch, you might be looking around and thinking, what else are we going to do? That's where today's guests come in. Please join me in welcoming Scott Ecker and Pam Strait from Theater B to talk about their production, which opens Friday night, An Act of God. Hello, Scott and Pam.
Hello, Dana.
Hi, Dana.
Thanks for joining me on this pre-recorded conversation. So let's jump right into it. Scott, you're the director of this three-person play. Pam, you're playing a somewhat weighty character. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Scott, as the director, tell us about this play, An Act of God.
Yeah, so it's a comedy from David Haverbaum, who's a late night writer. He used to write for The Daily Show and a bunch of other shows like that. And it's I call it an assisted one-person show, where it's structured where Pam is kind of a one-person actor, but she has these great assistants, kind of like shoulder angels in cartoons.
Mhm.
That are helping her with the gags and musical bits. So we adapted this script as if it was a live comedy late night show. So we've got fun, kitschy aesthetics and a bunch of goofy sound effects and things. And Pam is just up there monologuing and kvetching and just going through every possible thing that God might want to say to humanity.
Okay, so Pam, you are playing God.
I am God.
Not an insignificant role.
I would say that you're exactly right. It has some weight to it, but it's funny and it's smart, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
So explain to us how someone makes a comedy out of God and the Ten Commandments.
Boy, I'm clueless on this. As somebody who is not a playwright, I'm really just following in the footsteps that have gone before me. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but it's all laid out there on the page. All I have to do is say the words.
And comedy has, it's this great tool to understand the world around you. So it's just looking at all these things through history and going on in the world today, and bringing a specific lens and a voice into how we can deal with it and struggle with things together.
So Theater B is known for producing provoking, thoughtful, contemporary, small theater, which this appears to fit all of those, tick all those boxes. Tell me, why should someone who, I'll ask you two questions. Why should someone who is a practicing person of faith come and see this show? Well, let's start with that question.
So that's kind of how I approached this. I do actively practice, and for me, there's something just so accessible about this script, and so intelligent and welcoming that there's parts that hairs kind of stood on edge when I read it, but then I delved into it more and thought about it, and it's like, well, how many conversations do I have with people, religious or not, about religion? It affects all of us. And I think that this show, really provides this welcoming, accessible experience for anyone. So yeah, if you're nervous about being made fun of, we approach this show where we're, very careful where we're aiming. So We're not making fun of anybody, it's pointing out things that affect all of us. It's not coming from a mean-spirited place. It's coming from an open place. And like you said, Dana, that's what Theater B is excellent at.
Yeah. Pam, what's your answer to the same question?
I think that Scott's hit the nail on the head. I think that people who are bringing their faith in with them are going to recognize a lot of things. There are things that are going to be really familiar. There are Bible verses and and events from the Bible that sometimes happen in what feels like real time, and then there are ways to look at it from other directions. So it's not like the playwright is picking on one point of view or the other. He's really looking at it as a whole world of thought and feelings, and trampling on everybody.
Well, that's probably the safest way to do it. So let me ask you the converse question. Why should someone who is not a person of faith, who perhaps sees faith and this whole sort of omniscient deity as being outdated or antiquated, or, for the, however you want to say it, why should that person come?
Wow. You have all of the great questions. And Scott, I saw your mouth move. Why don't you pick this one up?
Well, I think that we approached it where, this definitely isn't a recruitment tool. I grew up, going to shows like that, or, that type of Christian entertainment. This is not that where we're trying to preach to anyone. So it's not a sermon. It's just something that people who share this community together can come and watch and enjoy. I know from some friends where, like, I've got a friend at work who grew up going to Catholic school, where he read this premise and is really excited to kind of confront things that, he had to grow up learning that isn't true for him anymore. People involved in this show come from all over the place with where they personally believe. So it's definitely something where, and going back to the fact that it's a comedy, comedy is something that can bring people together, get people talking, bring us all down to a human level together. So wherever you're approaching this from, you're definitely welcome.
Excellent.
Scott is
Pam,
right.
Do you have anything to add?
There's definitely no proselytizing. It's not like there's the playwright or any of us are trying to convert people one way or the other. It just lays it out there, and everybody makes their own decisions. That's one thing that B really likes, is shows where you get to draw your own conclusions. And this is just another one of those.
Excellent. So Scott, tell us the run time and date.
So the runtime it's 90 minutes, so no intermission. I'm a strong believer that comedy doesn't work over 90 minutes, so that we've been doing great with the timing. And then it opens this Friday, so the day after Thanksgiving, when you've got family around and need something to do on the long weekend. These B holiday shows, I always have fun going to them the day after Thanksgiving.
And it runs how many weekends?
Runs the next 4 weekends.
Okay. So is this a play you could bring children to?
Yeah, there's definitely some language and adult references in it. It really, I can never I don't know everyone's child. That's definitely up to the parents. But as someone who does have stepchildren, this is one where I could watch it with them and then, decide or, talk about it after.
Sure. So your
I'm a big
children
believer in watching with your kids.
Yeah. And your stepchildren are teenagers. So I think it's
so
based
it's
on what you're saying. It's definitely teenage appropriate, might not be elementary age appropriate, which is kind of Theater B's moniker, which is fine. We don't need to have everything be for everybody.
Yeah, but if you view it once yourself and decide you want to bring your kids, definitely encourage that.
Pam, what's been most fun about playing the omniscient developer of the universe?
Well, who hasn't fantasized about being God and being in control and having all the buttons to push and the levers to pull? It's an amazing process. I've had a lot of fun with Scott and the cast, Amy and Aiden. And they are an absolute joy to work with. My two archangels are right there with me every step of the way. There are challenges. It's essentially a 90-minute monologue. So there are challenges accompanying that, especially when you're over a certain age and your brain doesn't work as well as it used to when you were a kid. But it's so much fun, and it's so funny and smart that I think that people are going to come and see themselves and see the opposite side of themselves and see others that they know. I think it's just going to be a blast for everybody.
Well, fantastic. Thank you both for joining me. Break a leg on opening night. That is no insignificant thing to get out of the fog of turkey and jump right into a 90-minute monologue, Pam. So I will be sending my best thoughts your way.
Thank you.
Everybody else, get to Theater B's website, theaterb.org, get your tickets, and get to this show. Bring your family, bring your friends, and go support local art. As always, thanks to 702 Communications for the support of Tap Talk. We'll see you next week. Theater B crew, Scott and Pam, good luck. And
bless you.
Bye-bye. Yes. Bye. Thanks. Bye-bye.